RJ, you're about to launch a Google Hangouts on air. How do you feel about that, RJ?
I think we've launched them before.
Really? Here on System.debug?
I believe I believe so. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty certain.
It's been
Now
known to happen.
you're making me feel like I don't know. You're making me feel like, man, maybe I haven't done this before. Maybe I haven't. Maybe this is something new.
It's been a dream.
It has been a dream. You look like a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking very thin these days.
Well, I'm very exhausted, that's for sure. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say thin though. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm any different than normal.
Who actually
I
knows?
was on I was on vacation, I went to Tybee that one time. And then like buying a house kind of a thing, and then like that other thing that happened that was like, a thing. So definitely
Buying a
been
house.
busy. Yeah.
Buying a house will run you down.
Yeah, it absolutely will.
It'll run your bank account down as well. Which is sad to watch the dollars drift away.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But that's okay. It's sort of an investment as long as you can afford it.
I know, but they always talk about like since the housing crisis that like or whatever it was, the crash, that now they have to ask for like all this ridiculous paperwork, and so it's like, did you get your dog spayed or neutered? And you're like, why does that matter on the loan whatsoever? I'm super confused. You know what I'm saying?
We just need to know how responsible you are.
Like, I mean, and then they send you pictures and they're like, should I have a doctor look at this? And you're like, wait, what? Like, and it's really weird questions to get a loan these days. I'm telling you.
Yes, the answer is always yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't know that, always yes to the should a doctor look at this.
Fair enough. That's that sound rules. So, RJ,
sound advice to live by.
Yeah. So we were talking before the show. We were talking about Docker Hub, right?
About a couple of things, yeah. So
let's go with Docker Hub. So
Docker Hub, I believe they reported on Friday night that there was a breach. It was like 190,000 accounts. So, hey, if you're one of those 190,000 accounts, which is like some stupid small amount, like 5% of their actual total account base. But if you're one of those 190,000, change your passwords, check your images, make sure there's no sensitive information in your images, see Amazon secrets, Google secrets, things like that. Definitely have a doctor check that out.
No, okay, so it's a data breach, right?
Yeah, so Docker Hub is home to pretty much all the Docker images that anyone ever uses nowadays. There's a lot of popular ones up there. A lot of people use the Alpine image, and then they take it in and they basically add their own stuff to it, make their own little Docker file, and then they go forth and do all the wonderful things that Docker allows you to do, right? But they don't account. They assume that there's like an inherent safety there, right? Because Docker is this massive entity, and Docker Hub is also this massive entity. So people are like, oh yeah, my stuff is all safe there. Unfortunately, not so much. It's only as safe as anywhere else, right? So things can get hacked. Accounts can get, what do you want to call it? Exported, or however the hell you want to say that. People can go in and grab a whole bunch of data when there's an unauthorized breach. So, or I guess unauthorized or breach is pretty much the same thing. Well, not the same thing, but one means the other. I'm watching your face as you watch me ramble, and it's pretty interesting. But either way, change all your stuff. Go in there, check out your images, make sure everything is good there, or your Docker files, or whatever the hell you want to do. Yank it all down.
Here's my question: is that like, what do you feel like? Is it relative as when you're thinking about the data that was lost, like versus we'll say other data breaches like Target or I don't know. Actually, I feel like it's like every company now.
They reported it right when it happened, as far as anyone can tell.
But I mean, like the data that's like in being impacted here, would you say that it's on the same level of like personal data, such as with the credit card companies or Target, or is it like relative? Is it subjective, sort of, to the person who owns that data?
Yeah. So if you look at it, right, let's take like a step back, right? If you look at the data that they have inside of something like Target, right, that's all based on you. That's all your data, but it's not really your data. It's data about you, right? It can also have like there can also be like credit card numbers if you have a Target credit card, things like that. And I'm not sure where all that information is necessarily stored because I don't know if they go through Mastercard or whatever. But either way, there's a lot of sensitive information inside of the you that exists inside a Target, and there's a lot of data that they can yank out and sell, right? So that's what people are looking for there. In the Docker Hub attack, I'm assuming this is just an assumption of mine, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm assuming what they were looking for was secrets, Amazon secrets, Google secrets, Azure, like whatever they could get their hands on in order to effectively pretend to be you and get some services for free and do all kinds of nasty malicious things like that, right? So again, totally unbeknownst to me what these persons or this person's intent was here, but I'm assuming that's what they were looking for because I mean, if you're going for it and they only had access to the database for a split second, right? 190,000 users. If you run through that data real quickly, you may find a couple Amazon secrets that have been sitting there, and you can use those. You can get those and run with those things, right? But as soon as somebody goes in and does their normal security routines, like, oh crap, I got to go through, I got to invalidate the secret, go back, make another one, yada yada. It's done. You're done. So as soon as they release this to the public, if everyone is vigilant or as vigilant as they should be about their cloud accounts, this person may have had a couple hours access at most to what they wanted. Right?
Right. And so, as a precaution, like RJ said, the recommendations from Docker Hub are simply to one, reset your password, and two, for users with auto builds that may have been impacted, we have revoked GitHub tokens and access keys and ask that you reconnect to your repositories and check security logs to see if any unexpected actions have taken place. Now, the first time I heard about this was on Saturday, right? So it's Monday now. I'm sure anybody who is seriously affected um, has probably taken all precautions by this point. You would assume,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So check your GitHub logs, check your AWS logs, check your Google, your GCP logs. Just check all your logs and see if there's any suspicious activity. That's really what you want to be doing. And again, revoke all those keys that you've got out there right now. Change them all up. I know it's a little bit of a hassle, but it needs to be done, especially if those keys were used inside of your images. There's also if someone doesn't change their account password, some of their auto builds can be modified to include malware, according to ZDNet. So watch out for all that. Check everything. Make sure everything's good. This has been since Friday, so you had the whole weekend basically to do this. Hopefully you did. On some, I don't know, not really brighter news, but supposedly AT&T is going to take 5G the same way that home internet has been taken, which is you get a certain package, a certain allowance, like, hey, I want 200 megabit, or I want 500 megabit, or I want 1 gigabit, or 10 gigabit, or whatever speed, and you pay different prices for different tiers. So maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I don't really know. But that's just per the norm. Like that's what people do for home internet, so they know that there's a market there for that type of thing, and they know that people are super pumped about 5G. So that's one of those things. Also, in even much nicer news, I wanted to ask you. I see you smiling preemptively for
Well,
the.
because I was thinking I was going to bring up something, and then
Oh no,
I
go ahead,
was
go
like,
ahead.
I was going to say about the Nintendo Switch,
Oh, go for it.
just that they're increasing it. And also, did you hear that with the uh
Wait, that's sadder news. How much are they increasing it by?
oh no, I'm sorry. I meant like performance wise, like they're going to have like a better
Oh,
version and then they're going to have a smaller version or something like that that's going to be cheaper. Like
that I
you're,
have heard about.
yeah, and then also apparently with like their firmware update, right? Like basically their BIOS update for it in version 8, there's a overclock mode, like a boost mode, which will take the 1 gigahertz processor up to 1.75 gigahertz,
Ooh.
which I thought was kind of like neat. And I was wondering, because of the fact that, if you noticed, I don't know if you saw any of the articles, but one of the really cool things recently, and I know that they've had it for a while, was like the cardboard VR sets for
Yeah.
the Switch,
Yeah, the
right?
Labo.
Um,
Labo, whatever
right.
it's called. Yeah.
And so now they've for the Zelda game, and I think it's Mario Odyssey, they've allowed now for VR versions of that, which are pretty cool. Like, even though you're still playing the normal game,
Yeah.
it's just that it's much more like immersive,
Immersive. Yeah. So
so
you're
to
not
speak.
so you're not Link. You're not like in his skin. You're still
Right,
flying kind of like above and behind him. Well,
right.
not necessarily behind him, but you're flying, third person.
And I can only imagine that, like, one of the requirements in order for that to happen for games like that would be that they would have to overclock some of the processor at times. So I'm sure those inside those games, there's probably, switches that are being thrown to actually overclock the processor or draw more off of it and work with the BIOS on the hardware. That's the only thing I could like. Why else would they
Why they
introduce
would
the
do it?
boost mode? Yeah,
I don't know.
except for future
Couple of
compatibility, I
reasons.
guess.
Yeah, I would say for future compatibility and also for that niche market who just needs to friggin' overclock. I was gonna say the other F word, friggin' overclock everything. You know what I'm talking about. There are just people out there who are like, look, I can't take home my Honda Civic without putting a turbo on this thing, and also I can't have a regular PC. I need to put a turbo on this thing. So let's see this beast. Some people just live that lifestyle, and that's fine.
No, totally.
So that's probably a little kind of like a bonus for them,
hmm No, but I thought that was like really neat, and it's figured because that's like one of those things where I just got one, and so as soon as I got it, then it was like, oh, this June,
They did
release,
it for you, man.
yeah, releasing a
Clearly.
bigger, better version. You're like, yeah, and just when I like, not to like bring it back to the house thing, but like I know the recession is coming, but not until I've closed on my house. Right? Like, if I never close, no recession. The second I sign that, it's gonna be like every house for half the cost.
Don't sign it. Don't do the world a favor. Don't sign, or do the U.S. a favor. Don't sign it, please.
Oh, I didn't look at it like that. Yeah, I guess from the other side.
Oh boy.
Man,
So
this
so
power is just, I don't know what to do with it.
it's overwhelming.
It is.
What
I'm
was it?
one man.
Oh man, what was it? Glittering prizes. I think power overwhelming was another cheat for StarCraft, wasn't it? Was it StarCraft?
Oh, was that God mode? Or
Yeah,
no,
I
was
think
that like a
so.
Zerg? No, Zerg Rush, right?
I think it was. Hold
Oh
up.
no, Zerg Rush was in Google.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you like Google Zerg Rush, then it'll do the whole.
Oh, Black Sheep Wall. I remember that. That reveals the entire map. Hold on. Game Over Man, Medieval Man. Oh man, no glues. Holy power overwhelming was God mode for StarCraft. Yeah,
Mm,
nice. Anyway, back on track. So there are a couple things out there that were kind of goofy, kind of sad. Docker Hub hack, Nintendo making things that you can't have now because you already bought one. But brighter side. That was my noise for going to the brighter side, and I won't do it again, even if you ask. But the brighter side of this thing is that I heard some good stuff about Map Anything. How do you feel about acquisitions?
oh
The
yeah.
mothership.
I was really wondering. I was like, where is he going with this? Because it's like
Yeah,
you're
you
like
knew.
beep beep
Don't
beep
lie to
beep
me.
beep beep beep. Anyway,
I was doing brighter side. That's me
no,
going.
fair enough. No, it is a brighter side.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I
brighter
mean, like,
side of tech news.
well, they kind of like called us all into a big room. They made us all go out to a place, and they did the big reveal to us. And
Go out to a
um,
place.
well, yeah, like, you know what I mean. Like, we
Anywhere.
went out to the headquarters. Everybody went out to the headquarters, and then they made the big announcement. And of course, like, I was late to it, so like I showed up and like walked in, and everybody in the company kind of like looks over at the door, and you're all like, and then our CEO is just like, yep, no important news was said, nothing, don't worry about it. So I went and sat down, and I was like, okay. What was said? And they were like,
Classic John.
dude, yeah, it was great. So I don't know, I was like really, really excited. And then I was really not excited.
Why not?
Well, only because of the fact that you kind of go, you know what your role is, and um, all of that kind of like you know where you fit in the totem pole, sort of a thing, right? And so you
Okay.
get nervous that everything's about to get like topsy turvy, right?
It
But
will.
but not really at first. You know what I mean? Because like the way I'm like the way you kind of digest it is you go, they're not going to flip everything around, right? Like
Well, there's a working model.
that's what I'm saying. Like there is a
Supposedly.
working model, so there's
Yeah.
going to have to be, regardless of anything else, an integration period. So I it kind of makes you feel really like, all right, cool. That makes me feel really good. And it's not like you're coming in as a novice, and everybody around you is this expert. You're actually coming in, like, and I don't mean like a novice in your field, but a novice to Salesforce, right? As an employee, and so you're
Yeah.
moving with your entire team, and nothing's like I don't think like I haven't got any swag or anything yet, kind of a thing. But like
Is that what you're? Is that all you're waiting for?
well, I feel
That's
like
the
that's
day
that's
you're
when
waiting for
it's like
Swag Day.
legit. Well, I mean, like, because you're not gonna get swag, and right, like,
I don't. What do you mean?
I don't they just send it off right at Salesforce, so you get the swag right away, and I that's how I feel about it. Like, I thought that like you know you whenever you get like a job offer from Salesforce, right? Like, you
Yeah.
hand them your resume, you sit in an interview,
Hmm.
they go, "Hey, would you come work for us?" And you go, "Yeah." And then like the second you sign it, the contract like disappears, right?
And
And
a
it's
basket of
places like
goodies and
yeah, and
swag.
like a backpack and stuff. It's just like
Yep.
you know what I mean?
That's what happened at Slalom for me, at least.
That's
They
how I
were like,
felt it
they
all
were
with
like,
work.
"Hey, are you gonna sign this?" And I was like, "Yes, I will." And they were like, "Okay, cool. Check your mailbox." And I looked outside, and there was just like a big basket of goodies and swag. I was like, "This is neat."
See, that's what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I picture it. So I don't feel like,
I don't know that acquisitions work like like mass hirings. This isn't necessarily a mass hiring. They're not actually hiring you. They're acquiring the company that hired you. I don't know. I don't know
I don't
how
know.
any of this
Well,
works.
either way, at least it's a company that
Yeah.
has a lot of mergers and acquisitions. So they're big on it. So they have to have like a try and true recipe. That kind of puts me at ease that it's not like, the first time they're acquiring anybody. And like I said, going through with like our friends is makes it a whole lot easier than going it alone, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, if you were man, yeah, that would be scary. Like a Lark and Chris situation where Map Anything acquired them, they were just like, sure. And then it was just like, okay, now you do this. It's like,
Nah, I don't
uh,
want to do that.
I was gonna say at that point, I don't know that Map Anything had really acquired anyone before, so it was like a first time, first attempt.
Hey, but that's like,
So,
growing up, and now
oh yeah,
that's
yeah,
what's like really crazy is like going from being, you know, a company with maybe 30 people in it to where we are now, and then always kind of just like thinking that you're just growing, and then to find out that you're getting purchased was weird. But now I'm back to being excited, and I have been that way since like I don't know, the next day. Like I think like I had like a moment of doubt for like 10
10
minutes.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah, and then like I had a couple of beers, and then there was karaoke. And karaoke always makes you think one thing, Ohana. You know what I'm saying? Like I love karaoke with Salesforce friends. So
okay,
so
I'll
so
trust you.
I felt like it was an amazing thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Just like
fair.
going to Pandora in California. That's where we all go. That's where everybody goes. They go to Pandora, and then you sing
Is
the
it?
karaoke.
I
Yeah,
don't. I did not know this.
dude, it's true. And then David Todd leaves his credit card overnight.
Oh,
That's what happened. So
that poor guy. He probably got raked over the coals.
not at all.
BS.
No, it's true. I didn't mind. I just said go get it, and then we got an Uber. So it wasn't really like a big crazy thing. It was just amusing at the time. But yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that's going well. So, with all your newfound wealth, your millions, are you going to buy a new Galaxy Fold?
I thought they didn't even really come out yet.
They
Like they were
didn't.
supposed to, but they didn't.
They got delayed. That's where I was going with that.
Oh, yeah, see, so no.
Apparently, they're not blowing up, but they're just not working correctly.
No, but blowing up. Did you hear about the Tesla that blew up in the
I
was
didn't
it
know.
was it in China? It was like in a garage,
I
like
don't
in a
know. Now
parked
I
in a
have
car
to.
garage.
I gotta look
It
this
just
up.
like blew up on camera.
Blew up on. So it's parked in a. The car blows up in flames in China. Interesting. Interesting. Watching this video. Oh, it just starts smoking.
And
Did
then boom.
somebody puncture the battery? Because it looked like everything came from underneath. And I know if you puncture lithium ion through the
Casing.
yeah, but there's like all kinds of internals and stuff. Yeah, I know that it can do have a similar reaction. That's wild. So I wonder what exactly happened there. Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was fascinated by the video. I had to watch it a couple of times in loop.
You're just watching Teslas blow up.
Well, just that one Tesla
I mean, just you know. Yeah, so Tesla Model S battery explodes, totals car in minutes.
in minutes.
So
That
well,
looked like
like totals car. So I guess like
I'm pretty sure that explosion totaled the car. Like that took
no,
all of.
actually no, sorry, this is an older one.
Oh, got you.
I'm trying to find that one. So wild. April 22nd. Yeah. I don't know, man. That is absolutely wild. Apparently they're getting hit hard because of this, but I guess Musk doesn't care. He doesn't care about much, does he? He's like, yeah, whatever. People are he's teasing an insurance plan. Yeah, see. Oh yeah, that's classic Elon Musk. Teasing an insurance plan days after a Model S blows up in China. Wow. What a guy.
What
What a
a guy.
human. What a human. He knows how to business. That's all I can say. Somehow. He's a smart guy, I guess. Maybe too smart. I don't know. What else you want to talk about? You got anything else slated for our
No,
chat?
honestly, I thought the conversation on uh, the second conversation was going to go a lot longer, but
What?
it's so short that now I can't even remember like what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like I know we talked about Docker Hub,
Yeah.
and then what came after? Oh, AT&T. I thought AT&T was going to go longer, and then after you said it, I was like, nope, nowhere else place to go with that, huh?
No, I mean that's all there is.
Yeah,
They're slotted. I mean, they know that there's a market for that type of thing. So they've set themselves up and they know that everyone's crazy about 5G. So I mean, what else more can you really say about it? Like, oh yeah, and this and that and the other. Like, no, it's probably just exactly that. They know people will pay for it.
but do you think it's going to be like capped the same way? So here we can actually talk about this now. But do you think it's going to be capped the same way that regular internet is? And I know that there's probably going to be somebody watching this who's going capped internet because it didn't exist for me before I came down here.
Yeah, mine still isn't capped.
It isn't out in where you are. Oh, okay, cool. So like,
There's not enough people where I'm assuming it's people based thing or a population based thing. There's not enough people to where they're like, oh god, we're getting slammed over here. We gotta cap everybody's internets. Or there's not enough customers that are like, oh, we'll make a fortune off of this. I don't know
gotcha.
what the actual thing is, but it's not capped over here. They're just like, yep, just go nuts, go
Well, in
nuts,
ours,
everybody.
when we first moved down here, it was capped at 300 gigs a month.
Yeah,
And a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's plenty. You're never going to use that. And you're like, when you have four people on the internet,
yeah,
300 gigs goes by really quickly.
real
You
fast.
know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's only like 75 a piece. So like, and you're thinking, well, what are you downloading? And it's everything that you're streaming, right?
yeah,
So it's all the
that's
Netflix, the YouTubes, the music. Um, Anytime a kid's phone is connected and it's getting ads because they're playing little games, right?
yep,
All that stuff eats it up. So eventually they increased it to a terabyte, which was more than enough at that point. Because surprisingly, we went just barely over that 300 every month. You know what I mean? Like we might kiss 400, but never really like which is about 100
400 a
gigs
good
a person.
kisser, or
What's that?
I said it's 400 pretty good
I'm
kisser.
not telling.
throwing out the dad
I'm
jokes.
not gonna tell.
I'm trying.
No.
We have this lady Allison that works with us, and she throws out dad jokes in an email to remind everyone to score up for the week and get their client time in. She's always with the dad joke, and I told her to actually go talk to you. I was like, I know a guy who's he's the guru of dad jokes. She was like, oh, I need to meet this guy. I was like,
I don't think you want to.
yeah, you might get out dad joked, and it might hurt. It might just hurt. Yeah. So the cool thing about no caps is that you have no caps, but the bad thing about having caps is they kind of lock you down into different tiers, right? So once you go over, or is it a charge thing? Like once you go over the 300, do they charge you more?
Yeah,
Or
it's
does
like
it knock you down?
$10 for every 50 gigs or whatever. So it's not like
Mm.
obscene, but it's still, you know what I mean? You don't like the extra charge.
My guess is that they'll go the way of the phones, because they are still doing phone stuff. So they probably want to do like a, what do you want to call that? Some mix of the
Tiered
two
plan.
where they do, yeah, some kind of blended sort of plan where they do the tiers, like, oh, you get 500 megabits for X dollars a month, and if you go over, we'll just knock you down to 200 or
So do you
something.
think a lot of this is just mainly trying to augment the what I can only assume is a hemorrhaging of cash flow out of cable, right? Like no one's getting cable anymore. Well, I mean, maybe some people are getting cable, but I would think a lot of people who would have at one point purchased cable now decide that they would rather get 4 or 5 other services for the price.
Well, the problem is that a lot of people now are kind of commenting on what's happening in that tech space, in that cable cutter space, in that cord cutter space. And they're saying, oh, this is cool. We're going to destroy typical cable. We're going to knock old school cable out of the park because nobody wants that anymore. We're going to smash this thing. We're going to put it behind and we're going to throw it in the dumpster. Boom, right? But they're not actually doing that. What they're doing is just taking and recreating several different cable companies each. So Netflix has its own little sphere of influence and its sphere of things, right? And it's got a lot of gravitas because of that whole Netflix originals, right? A lot of people love those things. A lot of people want that content, right? Okay, now you have original content. Now Hulu has original content. Amazon has original content. They're buying other companies. They're doing deals with different, like Apple's got deals with a whole bunch of different companies. So now it's okay, you destroyed the cable bundle just to go back and make the cable bundle again. And they're hearing a lot of this. And I know that a lot of people have said this around the internet. This is going around. And it's like, yeah, that's actually what's happening. You're just making smaller ecosystems and then rebuilding that cable. Like, oh, hey, Netflix has their thing. Okay, cool, whatever. Oh, and then they got this, and now they got this, and now they got this, and now they got this, and they got to deal with so and so, and another deal with so and so, and then you're just slotting more of a bundle around that, and now all of a sudden you're back to cable. And then Hulu does the same thing. Amazon does the same thing. All the big players in that space do the same thing. Now you just have 10 different cable bundles.
Right. But then you get like what's really crazy is that like, Netflix pretty much dominated the space with a hard competitor in say Hulu. I would think, right? Probably biggest competitors being Hulu and Amazon Prime. And funny enough, that's what Megan stated that she has as well. And to have such a behemoth of a player like Disney, kind of, and you got to wonder, you got to wonder like if the acquisitions of Fox and Marvel and Lucas and all of that kind of stuff, if they had known, what they get first, Marvel, is that the first one they got,
I think so.
or Pixar even? So, but let's go back to Marvel at
Somewhere in
least.
there, yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to Marvel at least. Do you think at that point they kind of had this written plan that we're going to try to get these things, and if we can get all these things, then we're totally going to go digital with a streaming service because of the fact that when you think about what they own now, what they have, I mean, what I would believe is proprietary access, right? Like they're allowed to have or sole access, right? Um, to that content should they want it, and they're pulling it from all their services, and so you're looking at, I guess, like very easy
I see what you're saying. So there's two ways to think about this, right? One is that okay, you have Disney, huge player in the just in the film industry itself, right? They make a lot of movies. They've acquired a bunch of different properties, so now they can make even more movies. They've got Marvel, they've got the Star Wars, they've got pretty much everything that everyone is pumped about today, right? If you go talk to somebody and you say, "Hey, what were you super pumped about 6, 10, 12 months ago?" Right? They're going to say, "Oh, super pumped about Solo, super pumped about Endgame, super pumped about all these things," right? Everything that people were super pumped about all fell under Disney pretty much, right? They've got Fox now, so they've got X-Men because Fox had exclusive rights to X-Men. So now they've got this huge
And the Fantastic Four.
yes, but who cares? Ultimate nullify you. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, so there's a lot of stuff out there that they can do with everything they have. They've got the money, they've got the material. So what do? Two options. One, start their own streaming service, which they already sort of have going on, right? If they do, however, that's a lot of overhead that they need to go out and like, oh yeah, we got to get this, we got to X, Y, and Z to build up to become more like Netflix, or do you just license all that stuff for a boatload of cash to the highest bidder, and you just let everyone who's out there already, who has the tech, who has all their stacks, everything built to handle all this stuff already, and you just let them outbid each other over and over and over again until somebody wins, and then you say, all right, well, here's all my stuff, play it on your service, go ahead. I think that's the smarter move, but I also don't know what the actual play is here. There could be something underneath. It could be a completely just a money issue, right? Like, oh, we have all this money, who cares? Let's throw it into this venture.
No, fair enough. And you know what? I think that's a great spot to end the show because at this point, if we end it right here, you're thinking, what? And then I'd want you to take your opinion and put it
Cliffhanger.
right down in the comments. Like, take your opinion for right here, put it right down in the comments.
Am I doing it
And
right?
it's
Like,
probably knowing our video, the comments are going to be out like that way or this one.
I'm
Yeah,
just making my finger go across the screen here.
fair enough. But outside of that, everybody, you all have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Megan doesn't want us to go. This is your fault, Brian.
I gotta go. I got a family.
That's a very Steve Brule way to end this.
Sorry. What can I say? Gotta go. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
See you guys.